Hello and welcome to summer 2023. This is Dr. John Fisher. I'll be your guide for the next 10 weeks through frontier law and justice. This class is an examination of law enforcement and judges and on the Western frontier and how we tamed the wild, wild West. The responsibilities, the experiences, the tactics, the political environments, the challenges to day-to-day life of the frontier sheriff, of the judges, of the town marshals, the justices of the peace, the Texas Rangers. We're going to talk about range wars. We're going to talk about a lot of different things. Okay, again, my name is John Fisher. My office is in the Mesa building, office 3244. I'm here most days between 8:30 and 3:30. If you want to come see me, just stop by and you can visit, or you can set up an appointment. There's going to be a couple weeks in July that I'll be out of town, but I'll let you know in advance, and I will be recording from wherever I'm at. And so let me talk more about the recording. I record these sessions every Monday on Teams. It's not as scheduled because I don't know exactly what time I'm going to do so, but I will have a video conference every Monday, and you can participate if you want. I will record them and I will put them in the announcements again every single Monday. This is an online class. And that's all there is to this. I have sent an email to you giving you a list of resources and the syllabus. And that's what I'm looking at now. So let's go ahead and share my screen. Okay, so you're looking at my screen now. And there's my contact information. This is an online class. We've discussed the web conference hours. We've discussed the course description. This should be a fun class, okay? The student learning outcomes for this class is that you are to identify the meanings, perspectives, forms, justifications, and historical background of law and justice enforcement in the frontier West from 1830 to 1910. In fact, we're probably going to go a little earlier than 1830 in some of our discussions. We need to explain how governments provided the needs and wants of the people by establishing order, security, managing conflict in the frontier West between 1830 and 1910. You want to identify and use various sources of information. I'm providing you with a lot of resources and a lot of information, but you need to go beyond that. Go find your own information. You know, look for historical artifacts and diaries, photographs. You want to look for charts and biographies, paintings, things from the West to help you with the assignments that you're going to be conducting. Okay, again, there is no required book for this class. There is a list of additional materials, and this is that list. This is the list that is going to be available, or the books that are available. I have a resource list for each module, and I'll show you how to get to that in a minute. Okay, so the grading for this class is the standard. 90 to 100 is an A, 80 to 89 is a B, 70 to 79 is a C, 60 to 69 is a D, and anything less than a 60 is an F. Okay, so if this is your major, you can't get a D in this class. If you're a CCJS major, a crim major, or a CCJO major, you have to make a C or better. So you don't want anything less than a 60. Okay, so the assignments and what you're going to have to do for this semester in this course. The first is the student authentication. It's worth 10 points. There's an introduction discussion where you're going to introduce yourselves. And I'm going to do something different with that this week, and I'll discuss that in the next video. There are 10 discussions. Each discussion is worth 10 points for a grand total of 100 points. There is the final project. There are 4 parts to the final project. The topic discussion, the outline, the annotated bibliography, and the final project. Again, we'll cover those in a minute. For a grand total of 210 points, for 223 points. No group is graded. It's just straight points. Okay, so the course schedule, and this gives you the due dates that they're due. So week 1 is your introduction discussion, the week 1 discussion on myths, and the authentication assignment. And these links, if you click on these links, okay, so you start in a simple syllabus, which is right here. Let's just go home. Okay, when you come into the class, this is what it looks like. It has the resources page. So you click on the resources page, and it will go to everything that I'd like you to read and consume for that particular week. Like I said, most of it is linked. If it's not linked, it's in the library. You can go obtain a hard copy, or you can see if you can find it from one of the reading apps. And it goes through all 10 weeks and everything that you have to read. Okay. Let's go back home. Here's the course syllabus, and again, the summary. And it gives you, you can click on this, and it will bring you to the assignment. Okay, so for this assignment is the introduction. And what I want you to do, and I don't have it here, but if you have a video, if you have a webcam and a microphone, or you're using a laptop with a webcam and a microphone, I would like you to videotape your introduction. You still have to participate. You still have to respond to a couple of your inmates. A couple of your classmates. I'm sorry, I was thinking about prison. You have to still respond to a couple of your classmates. I will put my own video introduction here a little later, but how you do that. Okay, so let me go into student view. Okay, so this way, this is what you see when you go into the discussion. Okay, so you would hit reply, okay, and then you would see this screen. Go to tools, view all. When you go to view all, you should see this, and you want to click on embed Kaltura Media. Okay, I have found that this does not work with anything but Chrome. You have to use Chrome in order to get this to work. A Chromebook does not work, a notebook does not work, a MacBook does not work. You need a laptop and a computer, which is why I'm making this a request more than I'm making it required, because some people it just can't work. If you cannot get the video to work, just type in like you always do. But when you get to this screen, hit New Media and then hit Express Capture. When you get Express Capture, it's going to open up a new, okay, hold on a second. Let me turn my camera off. Okay, once you hit the right button and you do Express Capture, this window is going to pop open. You just hit record. You wait for the few moments, and now all of a sudden, if you look right here, I am recording. You record your introduction. You talk about who you are, what you're coming from, what your major is, what's your interests, something interesting about you that we might want to know. And then when you're done recording, you hit the stop button, and then you can download it for your files, and then you can share it anywhere you want. But you want to use this. Once you hit use this, excuse me. Once you hit use this, you can save and embed. You want to submit this assignment. And then it's going to submit. It's going to submit here. And then you have to hit post your reply. You post your reply, and it will be sitting here waiting for it to be processed. And what it's doing while it's processing is setting up and creating your closed captioning. All right, so once you've done that, you can go back to home. I don't know why this start here is not working. But let's go to modules. You go into modules and then you click start here. And then you can read all of this information. And then you want to, I'm still going to need my camera here in a minute. So you want to come down here and click on the ID assignment. For the authentication assignment, you want to hit the assignment. Turn my screen on. Okay, and then you can do a file upload or you can use a webcam. Okay, so if you already have it done, so what you do is you take your ID. Okay, and you hold it next to your face while your web camera takes your picture. So we're going to use the webcam. Okay, I have to turn my camera back off. Use the webcam. Okay, and there it is. Take your photo. Use this photo and submit the assignment. And that's how easy that is. See, and then you get all the pretty flowers. Okay, and you can do this as many times as you want. Okay, let's go back home. You've got module 1. There's some videos that you can watch. Ignore this particular one because I'm not going to post it there anymore. I'm posting them in the announcements. And then you can also access your week 1 discussions assignments here. The final project. Now, the final project has 4 parts. So I've split this semester into 4 sections. Okay, so there's a discussion forum. Your assignment, your final project has to be pre-approved. Okay, you're going to write a 5 to 7 page paper in APA format addressing an approved subject covering frontier law and justice. Each student will select and report on the evolution of justice in America between 1830 and 1910. I'm covering 10 topics. You can pick one of those. You can pick something else. The range wars, there's several range wars in the West, and you can write on any of those. Okay, so you would come into the discussion forum and you would type what you're wanting to do. Okay, only one person per topic. So if you want to do Wyatt Earp, you need to make sure you're the first one in here to discuss Wyatt Earp or Doc Holliday. If you do discuss Wyatt Earp, make sure you mention him and his activities in Albany, Texas. I forgot the name of the fort, but it's in Albany, Texas. Interesting stuff there, especially with Arkansas Dave Rudabaugh. Okay, but that's neither here nor there. So let's go back one. The outline. Okay, so let's go back to the discussion forum. The discussion forum is due June 18th. Okay, and then the outline. This is going to be an alphanumeric outline. There is an example for you there. Make sure that your outline resembles the example. based upon your and that due date's wrong too, because classes and stuff, this due date here is wrong because I have to fix that. So I will go fix this because it's not due July 2nd because class doesn't even start till July 5th. So let's go back to the simple home. Let's go back home. Go to the syllabus. Syllabus. Simple syllabus. Okay, the correct dates are here. So I have to make sure the final project discussion is going to be due June 18th. Okay. So I'll make sure, verify, ensure that I have all the dates right, and they should be right. Okay, so we'll move on from there. So if you click on final project discussion, it's due June 18th, and we go on from there. I don't know what that glitch was. Okay, and it tells you what you need to do and how you need to go about working this project. Please do not repeat topics. First come, first serve. Okay. Your final project itself. Each week there's a different discussion on a different topic. So the final project itself is due August 11th. The final discussion is due August 10th or 13th, but graduation is that weekend. So the final discussion, I'm going to have to move that up to, actually, I'm going to do this. Let's get out of this. Get out of this. Module 10. Oh, I'm leaving that in. Okay. If the video doesn't work, you can try reloading. If it still doesn't work, you just can't watch it anymore. But this last week is going to be pretty cool. The last week's discussion, I'm going to need to change the due date. For Thursday, done, save. And I'm going to go into the final project. I'm going to change that due date. August 10th. Okay, so otherwise everything is here. If you go into the simple syllabus, then you scroll down, all of the assignments are here with their due date. And we've already changed this, so make sure I'm going to have to go change it myself. Okay, so that's been changed and updated. We're good to go. I can stop sharing my screen now. But this class in itself is going to be, should be a lot of fun. We're going to be discussing the West. So the first week in the first module is going to be about the myths, the legends, and the fables and fact in the Wild Wild West. And we'll cover that in the lecture. Module 2, again, it's a discussion, and there's just 10 discussions on a research paper that you have to do. Week 2 is about the Texas Rangers and the history of the Texas Rangers. Week 3, we're going to talk about Judge Roy Bean. He's the title, but basically we're going to be talking about Texas justice and the Texas law and the Texas courts and the courts of the West, of the Wild West. Then we're going to talk about the Tombstone and the Earps and the feud between the Earps and the Clantons. Some videos about them. Week 5 is the Lincoln County War. The Lincoln County War with Billy the Kid and the Regulators and Arkansas Dave Rudabaugh and the sheriff and the banking system and the monopolies. You know, what was going on with the Lincoln County War was a lot more than just a feud between two cattle barons. It was a feud between the Murphy Syndicate and the Tunstals. John Chisholm was involved in this, and he came in on the side of the Tunstals. Okay, and it was about fighting over monopolies, over control of the resources of New Mexico. And they used the badge to enforce. Did you know that Billy the Kid was actually a marshal? Okay, so chapter 6 or week 6, we're going to cover Deadwood and the mining towns. If you've seen the HBO series Deadwood and the mining towns, there's a lot of things that happened in Deadwood that are not necessarily truthful. A lot of this has become a matter of myth and legend, and we'll get into covering the differences. But after Deadwood, we're going to start talking about the women of the West and the soiled doves. Yeah, it's not the peacemaker. It wasn't the Colt 44 that brought peace and civilization to the Americas, or to the Wild West. What brought civilization to the Wild West was the prostitute. And we'll talk about the prostitutes and the soiled doves and the women of the West and the influence that these women had in taming the wild, wild West. Dodge City and the cattle towns. And this is, the cattle towns have a major role or a major part to play within the culture. And that is because the cattle towns is what made the West. Cattle is what made America. Before oil, there was cattle. There's even a story here in Odessa in 1899. There is a cattle trail that came through Odessa, or actually it started in Odessa and went up into Kansas. I want to say it was Topeka, Kansas, not Dodge City. But it went up to Kansas to meet the railway before the railroad was here. And these two cowboys from El Paso had driven a herd of cows into Odessa to get on the cattle trail to bring it north to Kansas. And they came in and they were down on Main Street. It's now Grant and Second. And they just started shooting up the town. Blam, 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 blam. They were drunk. They'd been on the road they'd been on the cattle drive for a week. They wanted to raise some hell. And that's what you do in Odessa. So they're down there right now, it's where the courthouse is and the police department. Deputy Sheriff, I think his name was James Brown. I'll try to verify that. But the deputy sheriff comes in and says, "You guys put your guns down. You're under arrest for unlawful discharge of a firearm in Ector County." And the cowboys looked at this little itty bitty munchkin of a man, laughed at him, and drew. And there was a great big humongous gunfight down there on the corner of Second and Grant. And when the dust settled and the smoke cleared, that deputy sheriff was the only one left standing. He killed all of the El Paso Cowboys. Interesting thoughts. So there's a lot of things that happen in the cattle towns, and we use Dodge City for Module 8. The Range Wars, and I mentioned that. The Range Wars created the posse system and the posse comitatus, and how posse comitatus was managed inside the United States. And then how the posses became part of the Range Wars, and how the city marshal would create his law enforcement, or the city council would create their city police, the county would have his police, the U.S. Marshal would have their police, and all of these law enforcement agencies would fight for jurisdiction, power, and authority within the area. And presto changeo, we have a range war, fighting over resources, fighting over cattle, fighting over oil, fighting over gold and silver. Module 10 is both sides of the badge. The chapter in the book is going to be called Blood and Treasure. We see all of these superheroes like Wild Bill Hickok. Wild Bill Hickok is responsible for killing 40 people. Today, he'd be considered a serial killer. Okay. But not all people, not all cops were always good. Cops, law enforcement worked on both sides of the badge as it was necessary or important, or as their interest was deemed. Okay. Even Wyatt Earp was arrested for stealing horses. Okay. He should have been hung, but his father was a district judge in California, and he came, I think it was to Arkansas, and saved him. John Wesley Hardin, he's a well-known serial killer. He played cards in Midland, but he was most famous for killing people. He had there's a story that John Wesley Harding shot a man through the hotel room because he snored too loud. John Wesley Hardin was arrested, caught in Florida, and sent to prison, where he spent time in the Walls unit in Huntsville. He got out of Huntsville and became a lawyer. Okay, you can't do that today. But I'm going to quote John Dutton. If you can't sleep through a man snoring, you're not tired enough. You don't work hard enough. John Wesley Hardin must not have been tired enough, because he wasn't working enough. So he shot a man for snoring. We're going to talk about being on both sides of the badge, and that's going to be the whole kit and caboodle. Okay, so I'm looking forward to the semester. I'm looking forward to the discussions that we're having. Remember, each discussion, you have to make an original post. You have to reply to at least 2 of your students, of your classmates, and then reply or respond to anybody who replies to you. And these discussions will be open for the entire 10 weeks, so you can continue the discussions and continue having discussions. I did forget, I also have, let me share my screen again. On the homepage, I have Ask the Prof and the Falcon's Nest Cafe. If you have a question for me, you can go in there, you can hit reply, and you can ask the question. The Falcon's Nest Cafe is considered to be a student union, a virtual student union. You can come in here and you can talk about whatever you want. You can set up study sessions. You can, do research studies and everything that you want to do or you want to participate in. So I'll see you in the forums.